time and years and going back and inner child and all that stuff. I want to just throw it out there and have a good time. I got some heavy lifting stuff that I'll save for Monday and Tuesday. And we got a lot of great things going on next week. We're going to start it off on Monday with a couple of interesting segments. And I want to talk about martial law, the ideas, the debates about whether or not some of the Trump executive orders on militarized police and everything else is a precursor to martial law, or is it something a little bit deeper that he's preparing for? There's more on that. Monday will be good. Tuesday, we got Leo Zagami. We're going to be talking conclaves and New World Order and deep state and deep church stuff. That'll be really interesting, but it continues on. And tonight, we're going to just kick our shoes off. And I don't know, it's actually not that, it is heavy lifting, but it's heavy lifting on another side of life. We're talking about growth. We're talking about passing the torch. And I really hope that you pick up the phone and you become a part of it. I'm also going to be reading off your super chats as close to real time as I can. There's the gold pills on quitefrankly.tv, the Rumble rants over on YouTube. I set a modest super chat goal tonight. If there are, I think, what is it? Check out the super chat goal in there. If five $20 super chats come in over there, because I'm still playing with all these new features that I never knew even existed, then we're going to be able to do a Saturday afternoon cigar stream. Sometime tomorrow afternoon, I should be able to light up a cigar in the middle of everything that I'll be doing, and I'll take you guys along for the ride, even if the ride begins and ends on the back porch. Who knows? I'm just throwing that out there. All right, let's go. And for those of you who have already asked, Frank, is the computer goblins stopped harassing you? No. Since last night, because I left the computer on just in case Jim Lee wanted to jump on remotely and start tinkering with some things. Since last night, I have not shut this thing down since last night, and probably since last night, every 60 to 70 seconds, throb. All my monitors shrink, everything skips, and then expand back out to full screen. I don't know. Eventually we will know. So if anything seems a little bit jumpy tonight, just bear with me, and we'll see what happens. If this keeps up into next week, then I'm going to have to do some extra shows from home, because I will take the cramped spaces over not having to deal with this shit. Especially when there is a guest on. Any night of the week, I will broadcast from a rest stop bathroom, hanging out with Cory Booker, over having to do this shit. I hate it. There's something off. There's something out of place. It drives me nuts. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Okay, the first thing up that we have, ladies and gents, the first thing we have indeed is this right here. A little bit from Virginia Roberts, or Virginia Giuffre's father. He says what everybody was thinking. We put it up on full screen there, and not the little screen. Somebody got to her. Virginia's father says that she wasn't suicidal and demands an investigation. This is by way of Steve Watson of modernity.news. The father of prominent Jeffrey Epstein sexual abuse victim Virginia Giuffre doesn't believe the narrative that she took her own life last week and is demanding an independent investigation. Previously stated she was not suicidal, and her lawyer is adamant there is no evidence to suggest that she was. Still don't understand what's going on. Nobody made any, I don't see any details on any of this stuff. None whatsoever. And nobody has, unless I just haven't been reading into it deeply enough, but nobody has properly bridged the gap between doctors gave her 4 days with organ failure after a bus accident, even though there is differing accounts on what even happened with the accident itself. 4 days, and then 20-something days later she dies, and they say it's suicide. So what was it? Was it that the 4 days wasn't happening fast enough, so she just ended it herself? Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. And right down to the year 2025. that if she was some sort of a liability, why wasn't she gotten rid of a long time ago before she became such a big part of Epstein lore? You know? Anyway, so there you go. There is a father that's asking obvious questions and making unsurprising statements. Here's something else, real quick, because we don't want to talk too much about sperm tonight. We did a lot of sperm talk last Friday night when we were discussing this sperm race that was about to be put on. Well, apparently, and I was wondering about the logistics of this thing. On a technical standpoint, how was this going to happen? They were talking about mimicking the inside of a woman and fluid dynamics and different types of genetic cues and all that shit. But that was just jargon. I wanted to know exactly how this was going to play out. Well, here we have it again. I said last night, the headline, the world's first sperm race seemed too good to be true, and it was. This is from the Free Press by River Page. And the subheader is, for starters, it wasn't the first one. They said it was the first one. It was actually done in Vietnam somewhere. And the winners were known in advance, so it was predetermined, and the race was computer generated. Now, I got a couple of things down here. First of all, this guy, Austin Jeffs, he was a video editor for the Free Press. He was in LA, and he went out to actually, film and take some shots of the place and all that stuff and help them better cover this event that was already garnering a lot of attention just because of the nature of it all. And Austin started asking questions they said that he wasn't supposed to ask. And he started overhearing things from people that was just part of the production team over there. Some of the things that he was overhearing is how everything was already predetermined. They already knew who was going to win, which I think creates a little bit of an ethical dilemma, because this thing, you could bet on this thing. Well, poly market, right? Now, I don't know, perhaps you can bet on WrestleMania, even if it is predetermined. I guess maybe you're taking a bet on where the script is going to go. But shouldn't there be something about when you go and you bet on WWE? I'm sure there's a place that you can do that. You're going in there understanding what the nature of the business is. Okay? You're betting on a new episode of an ongoing drama. And maybe you can't account for some things, like there's going to be expectations that are subverted or whatever the hell it is. But this, people are going in there thinking that they're actually going to see live racing sperm cells. And it was nothing close to that. And in fact, what they had noticed here, let me see here, right down at the bottom of this thing. The day after the race, Sperm Racing took to X to promise that, quote, live clip comparisons between 3D and raw footage will be published this week to show results and verifications of the races. Although the company did post a thread on X on Tuesday, there was nothing in it to verify that the computer images reflected the movement or the speed of actual sperm. Now, take a look at this. This is what apparently the microscope view of Tristan, one of the contestants, the one from USC, I think they said, where the hell is it? Here, take a look at this. All right, I'm going to press play, and this is supposed to be a computer-generated duplicate that is going to match the actual movement and speed of the sperm. Now, look, do you see this? Obviously, I mean, it's not, maybe it's sped up. I hope it is, because that's ridiculous. But it looks like it's a video game. Sperm would actually, get the hell out of here, man. And it's one hell of a troll job. But like I said, there's a financial, it's one thing to say, everybody check this out. And then you just, you rickroll everybody. But if somebody went out there and actually dropped a couple $1,000s, I guess that's on you. I would never bet on sperm. It's stupid. But that's it. That's the end of that. I'm sure that the next time they do this, it's going to be a lot less of a spectacle. And what good attention, maybe did still have some kind of a net positive attention to people, brought on the subject for people. Who knows? But that's that. All right. So let's get this one kicked off. We will be back in a very short flash.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!
Good evening. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back to the show. So, again, give this episode a thumbs up, whether you're watching it live or later on. Just get a like button. Hit a like button, wherever it is, whatever shape it's in. It could be a thumb, a star, a heart. It does not matter. Share it with somebody. It does such an incredible amount of help for small operations like ours. I can't thank you enough. All right, so let's see here. What else do we have? Okay, well, ladies, this one's for you. Now, I know this has been a little bit more of an across-the-board phenomenon, but I'm putting this almost squarely in the laps of American women. And that is Luigi Mangione. I'm going to put it squarely in the laps of mostly American women and gay leftist American men. Okay, and here, it's not funny. Luigi the musical. Okay? And not necessarily the ladies of this show. I'm just going to say that. Nothing's ever broad-stroked, of course. Luigi the musical, about the accused United Healthcare CEO killer, is about to debut in San Francisco. From the killer barber of Sweeney Todd to Stephen Sondheim's Assassins, musicals have long dealt with morbid subject matter. Now a musical comedy based on Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old man accused of gunning down the CEO of a healthcare company, is on its way to San Francisco. Luigi the musical is billed as, quote, a story of love, murder, and hash browns. It's due to open in June at the Taylor Street Theater, formerly the Exit Theater. Mangione, who was arrested as the prime suspect in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson and has pleaded not guilty in the case, shares the same real-life prison as FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried and Sean Puffy Diddy Combs. Although it is unlikely he's actually cellmates with either, in the show, Mangione's character navigates friendship, justice, and absurdity of viral fame with the two by his side, per the release. The show is described as wildly irreverent, razor-sharp comedy that imagines the true story of Luigi Mangione, the alleged corporate assassin turned accidental folk hero. Bold, campy, and unafraid, Luigi the musical is both laugh-out-loud funny and surprisingly thoughtful. According to the play's production company, if you like your comedy smart and your show tunes... Hold on, my computer is having a seizure again. Give me a moment. There you go. If you like your comedy smart and your show tunes with a criminal record, Luigi is your new favorite felony. He's so cute. Grr. I was thinking about some of the ladies we have in this country during the Darren Monahan talk that we had last night, when Darren was talking about all the love letters that Richard Ramirez would receive in prison. Okay? The Night Stalker. You know, if I were a stable, because I'm not stable, nice, gainfully employed, single man who was having trouble finding a wife and starting a family, and I hear a story that Richard Ramirez is raking in the ladies from behind bars, and all he had to do was kill people, I don't know whether that would frustrate me or give me hope. Probably both at the same time. Like, what the hell am I doing wrong? Well, you're doing everything right, actually. Just, And then you have this. Just think about this. Listen to this quote again. Bold, campy, and unafraid, Luigi the Musical is both laugh-out-loud funny and surprisingly thoughtful, according to the play's production company. If you like your comedy smart and your show tunes with a criminal record, Luigi's your favorite new felony. Can you imagine being Brian Thompson's children? Whatever you feel about the industry, the insurance industry, which is dirty and does not serve us very well, and it just exists to perpetuate its own existence and raise, we understand what's wrong with it. But can you imagine being Brian Thompson's children? All right. Whether Luigi is just a patsy or if he's the murderer. Your father's death within a span of what, 6 months? Less? Was turned into a thoughtfully whimsical comedic stage play in San Francisco. All right. Regardless of what you think about this situation, who did it, why it happened, what's righteous and what's never okay, is this, what do you think about this? Come on. That's just ridiculous, I gotta say. But there's always going to be somebody willing to do it, push the buttons and all that stuff. Constantly pushing buttons. Okay. All right. Well, now on to other things. Now on to other things. This is going to lead us right into the arms of our main topic tonight. So I was listening to some music. I was actually going through some stuff on some things I had set aside on Instagram, things I had triggered some ideas for me. And the first thing that I came across just by luck of the draw was this one post, and it had that old Candlebox song in it. You know what I'm talking about? What is it? Far Behind? Yeah, Candlebox, Far Behind. And I was just thinking about that because I hadn't heard it in years. Had not heard this thing in years, this song. And I went and I researched it. I said, when the hell did that come out? And there was 1993. I said, this song is 32 years old. Candlebox. Songs like this are, to me, what House of the Rising Sun are to, is to my parents. And I started thinking about generations again and the passage of time, because this short article was on my desk already, and I was reading through it at the time. It was open. And, I'm trying to spin all these different types of plates, and suddenly sometimes the plates start colliding with each other, and they make new plates. It's crazy how that happens. But listen to this. Here's the article I was reading. How Parenthood Protects the Brain from the Effects of Aging. A new study shows that spending years raising and caring for children produces benefits not just in mothers, but in any caregiver. Any caregiver. Okay? I have three highlighted parts here. A study called The Protective Role of Parenthood on Age-Related Brain Function in Mid to Late Life, carried out by a group of researchers from the universities in the U.S., Singapore, and Australia, had recently published in the prestigious journal Proceedings of National Academy of Science, used complex statistical techniques and functional magnetic resonance imaging to investigate the relationship between the number of children raised and brain connectivity and function according to age in 19,964 women and 17,607 men from a British biomedical data source, UK Biobank. Their results clearly show that the number of children raised is associated with higher brain-wide functional connectivity, especially in networks associated with movement and sensation. These results suggest that parenthood may be neuroprotective later in life. Really interesting. Interesting. Almost like when I learned, I don't know, correlation, causation, all that other stuff, but I've read in more than a few places that late pregnancies, that women who give birth like from age 40 and onward, statistically, they add years to their life. That longevity in many cases, it's a trend that they just live longer. Really interesting things. Furthermore, this is the last piece. Furthermore, in both female and male caregivers, the intrinsic neuronal architecture of the brain and its neuronal connectivity positively correlated with the number of children being raised, but negatively correlated with age. That is, the greater the number of children raised, the better the neuronal connectivity and brain function, counteracting the natural cycles, the changes due to aging itself. Parenthood, therefore, seems to protect the brain from the loss of structural and functional connectivity associated with old age. It was a short little thing, and I thought it was interesting. Really did. And so I thought that was just, I thought we might be talking about that at some point. I said, what can we do with this? But then it just made me think about time again, and how generations, coming and going. And then lately I've been seeing these things. Speaking of children, childhood, and whose care are caregivers or whatever, I've been seeing these loops all over the place lately. You might have as well. Take a look at this. It's this one thing. It's like a loop of old VHS video of carefree kids taking enjoyment in simple things like walking through flowers or skipping through playgrounds, clearly from the late 80s, early to mid 90s or something. And they'll say, like, for example, this one says, he's still inside of you. Do it for him. Meaning your younger self is in there somewhere, buried under your responsibilities and your traumas and all this stuff that you pick up along the way and shit like that. He's still in there. You see this carefree kid and you think about, oh, I'm not carefree anymore. And you say, well, that's just part of growing up. But you don't want to lose it altogether. You really don't. And that's when it eventually brought me back to this article. But first, it brought me to Lubomir Arzov's animated short film that we analyzed with him. That movie that he put out there, which was the sequel to In Shadow, Kingdom. And it's that one part in Kingdom, I guess I remember you guys, you have to remember this, where the main characters is going through this awakening process where they're purging, they're coming face to face with their shadow. And then beyond that, they get to a point where they actually find their inner child that needs to be saved. And here's that point right here that I thought was just insanely powerful. Again, this is Kingdom by Lubomir Arzov. Nuts. I mean, that part sticks out. That, of course, and also the puppets, the media people, the politicians who are playing their roles, and they're the gatekeepers. Their liberation in this video as well was just was awesome. But that reconnecting with the inner child, saving the inner child, reconnecting it. It's not like, well, that's the past, leave it behind. No, there's something there. You can't leave it. You can't leave it all behind. We all have to grow up. We have to mature. We have to fill different shoes. But there is something to be said about how are you treating that version of yourself. It exists somewhere. It exists. He or she exists. And it's just powerful and real. And all this stuff started coming together. All of it started coming together. And that got me back to the article. Your children make you children again. Or if you don't have children, and if you ever volunteered with children, before I had Aurora, I had 16 years of coaching children in youth sports and, personal training, whatever the hell it was. A lot of that, again, is just, that's mentorship. When you're teaching somebody a sport, yes, there's very specific skills that you're working on to be able to perform the sport, but so much of it is mentality and focus and finding where somebody has a hang up, something they have to get over, a perspective that needs to shift, something to calm you down and refocus the lens. And you get that a lot. So when I was reading this, whether you are an aunt, an uncle, you've just been raising children, helping your own kids, or I don't know, a mentor position, children make you children again. That's another way of saying how neuroprotective, one generation looking over an upcoming generation, looking after them, teaching them, playing with them, all that, it makes you young again. You start feeling childhood joy that you haven't come close to experiencing in decades. That you thought, well, I've been chasing that pink elephant for a long time, and I just can't get anywhere near that excitement of Christmas morning as it was for me in 1991 ever again. I can't get anywhere near that. You think it's all gone, and then you have a kid. And then you become goofy. Here's the crazy thing, and I can see where this is all going. You become goofy, and if you're like me, you already were kind of goofy. But they're goofy. So you really start going over the top with it. And they don't judge you for it. They love it. They encourage it. They want to wrestle. They want to be tickled. They want all stupid shit. And you get to just say, I'm not going to be an adult for a little while, and I'm going to say and do absolutely ridiculous, goofy-ass child shit right now. I love it. Okay? And now I'm starting to see how it comes to be that the children grow up and they start seeing you as lame or embarrassing simply because we're still acting like the goofy child that they made us. They made us that way. They invited us back to childhood, and then they leave us. Shit. Kind of a jip is that? Well, I don't know. I grew up once already. I don't want to have to do that again. You grow up the first time, and then you have to grow up again after your children get less goofy and they leave you behind. But I can see it all coming. But I don't know. I got a plan. I think maybe it doesn't have to be such a breakup. Maybe it doesn't have to be that way. But we'll see. And then as these things usually happen, I came across one last post that, as always, it seals the deal for the train of thought that I was on at the moment. Or I guess it's essentially the caboose for the train of thought that I was on. And it was this. It asked the question, you go to bed one night, you go to bed tonight, and you wake up in 1995. And 30 years was just a dream. What's the first thing that you're doing? I said, well, I'm going to have to bring this to the show. And it's a Friday night. I don't know if we're going to be on the full 2 hours, but we're definitely going to be on long enough to get everything we can out of this topic right here. And that's what I want to bring up to you guys. You go to bed tonight. You're waking up in 1995. The last 30 years was a dream. What's the first thing that you are doing? This is the mood I'm in tonight. I pushed executive orders and martial law and papal conclave and antichrists to Monday and Tuesday, and this is where we are tonight, baby. So let's get real. That's what I want. Here's what I would say when you call in to talk about this, because I've got voicemails we can get to. We're going to read your super chats and all that. Don't worry about saving the world. Don't call up and say, well, I'm going to stop 9/11. Don't worry about that. That's not what I'm looking for. Don't worry about time paradoxes. Don't worry about negative butterfly effects or anything like that. I mean, I can see where making certain strategic stock purchases or setting aside money for Bitcoin or buying land is cool if you had the money at the time to go and do that stuff. Because I can see where great wealth can ensure that you can take care of yourself and the people that you love outside of what this system, this beast slavery system has to offer. So I get that. So if you want to go that way, that's just what your heart tells you, fine. But what I would like to get really out of you guys and gals tonight is there anything that you would do that you just can't put a price tag on? Like, I understand it takes money to do this, but it's not the same. Going to the lunch counter at Woolworths again. I had a few lunches that I remember at Woolworths around here before they all started closing. Would you go to the lunch counter at Woolworths for some lemon meringue pie again? With your parents or something? Or just friends, your brother, whatever it is. Would you visit your grandparents? Getting a hug from your grandmother again? Whatever it is. Or ice cream. Would you go to your favorite ice cream spot? Let's say that there was like a cone that you loved, a spot that you loved. There's like one of your favorite summer hangout spots as a child that's no longer there anymore. Sure, the cone cost you $2.25, but it's not about the money. It's just about being in a place, doing a thing again, and just having a full sensory experience, So that's what I wanted to see. Perhaps some of you would go to play on one of those classically dangerous those dangerous playgrounds that we all had when we were young, where you had some steep, ridiculously steep metal slides, and then a random grouping of things that spin. You sit down, you spin things at maniacal speeds. Everybody gets thrown off. Somebody breaks a leg. I don't know what it is, but they were dangerous, but fun. You can't get them anywhere. Everything's plastic. They don't go nearly as fast. They also don't burn you as much as well. Those metal slides on a hot day, oh boy, you better be covered in head to toe with cotton because it's just not going to work very well. So that's what we got right now. I want to go on a really quick break. This is essentially going to be the I'm going to give you some time to I'm going to give you some time to call in right now. I want to hear from you. It's 914-200-0269, 914-200-0269. And while you are calling in to let me know what you would do, I am going to go to some of our voicemails. All right. So the first one up is from John. This is from John. Here we go.
Hey, Frank. Love your show. If I could go back to 1995, I would spend as much time I could with my father, who died in early 97. Wouldn't change the world, but it changed my world. Love the show, bro. Later.
I got to imagine, and thank you for that, John. I got to imagine that whereas some of you will be a little bit, I want to hear all the range of places you would go. I'd have to imagine that the majority, more than 50%, are going to go to loved ones. And I think that's where it all kind of tied in together for me, because you had the article, you had that post that asked about 1995, but definitely the article and, what it means for a caregiver with a child and how you would, I really think that the child gives youth. And now we have some scientific studies to actually back that a child gives youth back to their caregiver. But there's a lot here. Let's take a call. 216, you're on the air. Go ahead, John.
Actually, it's Chris.
Sorry, Chris. Chris.
But from Ohio. And if I had to go back, I'd want to be at a live concert, dancing, and probably with the Michael Stanley Band, because he was one of my favorites here in Northeastern Ohio. I love dancing to live band.
And in 1995, was there a particular tour that came through town that you weren't able to see?
Well, Michael Stanley was a local musician who had a great band. A lot of people didn't know about it, but he was really fantastic. He just should have had more recognition than he did, but he really didn't want to leave his family from Ohio. But fabulous musician, great band, loved it.
Well, I love this. I love this. Thank you so much. You would want to go back and hit up a certain. There is something there. It's something that I never experienced it, but I know that it happened, and I always wondered exactly what it would be have been like. For example, we live on the Long Island Sound, and along the Long Island Sound, I think is still maybe one of the. I don't know what. Either way, Playland Amusement Park, and on the boardwalk over here on Playland is the old music and pavilion type, Art Deco pavilion type places, and I know that way back when they would have Glenn Miller style big band nights that my grandparents, great grandparents probably went out there for dancing. It was probably magical. It was probably just I don't know. I've imagined that in my head more than you'd imagine, and it's just I wish I actually was able to have that option to go back even farther before me, because I think that a night out dancing and just being out like that, you've inspired me to want to go back to the late 40s, early 50s again.
It was great. Well, Michael Stanley was a rock band.
Yeah.
And I always pretty much wanted to dance alone, just jamming out to the music that they played. But I just loved it. Well, and then there's nothing like live music.
I appreciate it. Thank you for taking us in that direction, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Frank.
See you
later.
Love
your show.
Thank you. All right. Donald, go ahead.
It's not Donald. It's One Way Mel.
Oh, Mel, how are you? See, everybody's using everybody else's phones tonight. What's going on, Mel?
Right. Okay. If I had to go back, I go back to the bars in Minneapolis, the gay bars, when it was okay to be gay, and they played the best music.
Wait. You would go back to the gay bars in 1995 when it was okay to be gay?
Yes. In Minneapolis, everybody was happy. We all danced to the same music. It was wonderful.
Oh, so what's happened now? It's not okay to be gay in Minneapolis?
No, well, it's weird.
Well, wait, you can't go until you tell us what's happened.
Oh, no. I haven't been there since probably 95.
But what has gotten weird? Because most people listening to this would probably say, wait, Mel, what are you talking about? This country is gayer than ever.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
Okay.
We used to be able to just hang out together and it was all fine.
Okay.
It's not like that anymore.
Okay, it's not like normal. It's not like how would I say normal gay, but it's like it's before it became politically militaristic gay.
Exactly.
Okay, got you. I understand. Hey, listen, you know what? In a way, I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Frank.
Thank you, Mel.
Love ya.
Take care. You get it? I did. Okay, let's see here. Here's one from TL Spud. TL Spud. We got a voicemail from TL Spud.
I know exactly what I would do. After breaking up with my future first wife, of course, I would drive to Las Vegas and buy futures all over town on the Houston Rockets to win the NBA championship. They were 6th in the West, I think. The odds would have been incredible. I would have then taken that money and bought hookers and blow, or gold and Orange County real estate. One of those.
He's a pragmatist. Oh, hold on. I just want to listen. It's his voice that I love. Hold on. It's like right around here. Hold on.
Chip. They were 6th in the West, I think. The odds would have been incredible. I would have.
What is? It's the way he says incredible. Oh, one more time. I'm sorry. I like things like this.
Then taken that money and bought hookers and blow, or gold and Orange County real estate.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to download that somehow and keep the incredible on my pad over here, right next to King.
Get dressed. You're going.
Okay. Well, let me make sure I do that. All right, let's take another call. Gary, go ahead. What's your thing that you would do?
Hey, Frank. How's it going, my friend?
Going well.
That's a tough question, and I don't want to take too much of a dark turn, but for sure, I would have quit drinking and quit smoking weed and get into like a martial arts. I think, from what I learned getting into jiu-jitsu way too late and, seeing how it helped Rob and stuff like that. If I had understood that back then, I definitely would have taken advantage of that, would have taken my life on a different tack, and, learned better technique playing guitar so it didn't destroy my thumb so I could still be playing these days. So, and of course, maybe invest in like Apple or Google or something like that instead of wasting my money on beer and chasing tails. And,
well,
let life and a good spirit find my way instead of just partying hard and still just being a metalhead.
I appreciate it, Gary, and it's not a dark turn. It really isn't. It's not to say I want to go back to a certain point and get myself off of any kind of path, especially when it comes to substances. Any kind of path that you think or that with 30 years of foreknowing that it's not going to help you. It's going to work against you. Maybe it didn't destroy you, but maybe it held you back. Maybe it kept you at 58% efficiency when you could have been, cruising at 95. So, no, I appreciate that. I do. There's more over here. Let's see. Saving my friend, Big Brad says, saving my friend from a house fire in a winter of 95. I miss you, Eric. Enjoying my knees working properly again, says Shannon. Hug my lovely grandfather, says OLS. That's that. Go and hug my dad and try to enjoy every moment of the last year I have with him. So that's another one. Hug my grandmother and my grandfather. Jump up onto my feet because I wasn't disabled yet, says Sonjag. And there's more. Hug my father. Hug my father. So, I mean, that's where it really comes down to. It also relates to that question. Like whenever I see, if you can sit down with anybody, living or dead, who has ever lived, if you can sit down with anybody, have a conversation with them, or go out to dinner or whatever with them, you'll get a vastly different answers from people who are older and, of course, who are younger. And then, of course, the youngest, like the toddlers, 4, 5, 6 years old into middle school. Now, obviously, when you're real young, you don't know anybody but your parents. So you wouldn't want to sit down and have a dinner date with anybody but them. But I think it's telling how throughout time, it's almost like the midwit chart that, we agree on certain things when we're children and when we are later on in life. And that is, I want my parents. And that middle hump can be filled with all types of galaxy brain reasons why we would want to sit down and talk to one philosopher or another. And hey, I don't blame anybody for wanting to sit down with Jesus, but it says a lot. It does. Let's take a call, shall we? 413, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. It's Grady from Massachusetts.
Grady, good to hear from you again. Go ahead.
How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. You?
Good. Well, in 95, my daughter's 3 years old. My ex-wife, very, very liberal and did not like my in-laws. So I think I would have really, really insisted that my daughter had more time with her grandparents. She had no grandparents, essentially, because my ex-wife's parents are both deceased. So she basically had very little contact with grandparents. And I would have insisted on more contact with them, with or without the ex-wife. And we got divorced when my daughter was out of high school and going to college. So I wanted to be in the house as long as my daughter was still at home. But she went to UMass Amherst, and now she's very liberal, which saddens me because she just does not see what's going on in the world. So I would have liked to have brought her up more conservative. I don't consider myself as conservative so much as libertarian, but I'm on conservative side now, of necessity. But I would have brought her up to be more in tune with the way the world is supposed to work and countered the ex-wife's views and prevented the damage, maybe made her go pointed her in the direction of a different school or something, so that she's not where she is now, thinking the world's going to fall apart and burn because Trump's president.
It's that's interesting, Grady, and I wonder how many people had this on their mind, especially if they're in a position like you, where right now there are a lot of people who are looking back at the choices they made with their children in school, and they're looking at what kind of a person their children have become because of the conditioning they got inside of a system that they really had limited control over the course of time, and wondering if there was anything that they could have done, maybe even with just support at home, with the way that they could have communicated at home when they were home from school, to be able to protect them from what the world is going to throw at them relentlessly over the course of their young adulthood, that turned them into the political action figures that they become later on in life, And I wonder how many people out there are thinking, I wish I could have done the homeschool route, or if that was not if that was not an option for me, I wish I could have just found a way or insisted on spending more and more time in getting to know my child in those formative years when I can see any kind of trend starting to develop in them.
Well, unfortunately, I was something of a liberal myself right up until 16 when I realized what a crook Hillary was. So I was naive myself.
Yeah.
But having that knowledge now, taking it back to 95. But, we had a fantastic relationship, my daughter and I, right through high school. But she went off to college, and now she barely talks to me because I'm a Trump cultist, she thinks. So we're finally talking a little bit. We just stay away from politics, but it's not what it used to be.
No, I can see that, and that's unfortunate in itself that there are limitations to what you can talk about. But then again, I definitely have that with my father. There's no need. First of all, he's very non-confrontational, so he'll speak. I don't follow him on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, but apparently he's very vocal on Facebook. But squeaking little mouse in front of a squeaking mouse in front of me, it's very tough. It's very tough just to know that there are barriers, and that it's just better off everybody respect those barriers, because it's very volatile. And thank you for bringing that up, Grady.
Thank you for taking my call. And by the way, I hate the show. And happy birthday to Lauren. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, Lauren. If you're listening, it's 7:50. No, the baby's not in bed. The baby, Aurora's not in bed for another little while here. So, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about. It just happened this afternoon. Before I left the studio, okay, well, it's 7:50, so I got a couple minutes until the halfway point, and then we'll just continue with your calls in a little bit. But you want to talk about growing up and choices and who's there to help you out. I have my niece. My niece is going to college next year. She's a senior right now. Her brother is first year in college right now, and she was just over the house before I left. My niece sitting there with Aurora, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, Lauren. And I hadn't heard what was going on at the time. I was just eating because I wanted to get out the door and come here to set up. And apparently my attention was called to it. My niece, who was matched up with these other incoming students, these other girls, that were going to potentially become roommates together in some kind of a suite or a quad or something like that. She was in the middle of a falling out already with a group of girls that she had been paired with and she was in a group chat or something, and she was, she essentially was telling us all that she was in the midst of being cast out of this group and disowned because one of the girls went and looked at my niece's Instagram and noticed that she followed Donald Trump's account. Just followed Donald Trump's account. Now, my niece supports Donald Trump. She's a Christian. She's, she doesn't go very deep into policy or anything like that, but she goes to church and she finds herself more in line with Trump than with anybody else. And she was cast out. It's all happening right there. And just, they're using everything against her. Everything against her. She's biracial. So, they were, some of the girls, and they were saying, you're biracial, and how can you do that being, part black and all that stuff. And with Trump, he's such a racist, and I just can't be friends with you if you're not in some way, shape, or form standing up for my rights, because my rights are being taken away. It's everything. They're already gone. And I was talking to her. I had finally, my attention was called to it, and I don't know if everybody was thinking that I was going to give her some really good lines to tell everybody off. But what I had to just tell her was that, listen, you are learning something right now. You need to know what is going to be thrown at you. This right here is your going back to 1995. Well, I'm telling you guys this. For her, this is her. I'm going back to 1995 to try to stand up for myself and prepare myself for what I'm about to enter into. And I told her, you're going to learn a lot about people and the world based on what this institution is going to throw at you. And you have to make sure that you don't let it change you. Yeah, just first of all, just think about the irony of having your skin used against you to be able to limit the way that you think. You want to talk about slavery? You want to talk about, it's not. I told her, these people that you're just talking about here, I know that feeling that you have in your stomach right now. Okay? So I know the feeling you have in your stomach right now. That you just had this social fallout. It feels terrible. You feel isolated. You want to lash out. You want it all to go. And you're also just mostly confused because you didn't say anything. You were just investigated and then accused of being racist and bigoted and stupid by default, by association, in the most shallow way you can. And I said, these are disabled people that you were, and it's a good thing. And I promise you're going to find your people. You're going to find your people. When you go to school, whatever the hell it is, you're going to find them. People who see things the way that you do, people who don't see the things the way that you do, but are just mature and human enough to not be this kind of a thing. But I said, pay very close attention what they teach you about femininity. Okay, and what it is to be, think about this. You have to notice what women, especially liberal women, how they act and how everything it is taught to them actually serves their worst. It does not serve their best purposes. It doesn't serve them at all. And you've got to preserve yourself because you are going to be given every encouragement to start seeing the world through shallow lenses of race, through shallow lenses of male versus female. You're going to see all that stuff. I said, you have to trust me on this. There's nothing you can say. Wish them well. Get out of that group chat and don't even entertain it. They're disabled. I'm not saying that as a pejorative. They have parts of them that are missing. This has always been the case with Marxists, especially. Even if they don't know what they are Marxists. They've been indoctrinated by Marxists. They have reflexes ingrained in them that was given to them by Marxists who understand human psychology and what this is. These are disabled people, and you need to trust your gut. And I said, you also got to just trust your gut and read rooms too. Over the next couple of years, you're at parties, you're at functions, and you just don't feel like you jive with the people that are in the room, or something's going on. If something make you feel uncomfortable at all, you got to get out of there. You don't have to run. You don't have to make a big deal about it, but you have to practice the art of an Irish goodbye. Go to the bathroom and just don't ever come back. Whatever the hell it is, you got to do that. Ultimately, so I know that, and it's, the fact that this is, she hasn't even graduated from high school yet. And that orientation is couple of months down the line here. And, it's college and everybody's, striking out on their own and trying things out. And it was already awkward and it's a learning experience in itself. But this kind of political militarism is something that is very new. It's new. And preserving yourself is a big thing. And this is one of those 1995 moments. And I don't know. Hope I gave her some peace of mind, because it'll get you. Okay, listen. I have to run down the hall. I have to make a little bit of a pit stop. So I'm going to leave you with a music video of ours, one from 2017. In fact, it's off of this album, Sky Goes On. And for this month, the month of May, if you become a sponsor of the show through Patreon or Subscribe Star, and you pledge more than $10 a month, I have 20 of these that I can send out. So the first 20, I'll be sending out the full pressed, shrink-wrapped album, Sky Goes On. And this is the first track on the album. It's Everything But Me, 2017. So this is only like 3.5 minutes. I'll be right back. You guys and gals enjoy, and we're going to come back with more of your calls.
What it be says in a blood cut
That's Mike May. That's our media production guy over here at Quite Frankly. Makes all the intermissions, the new end credits, and is going to be putting together the intro and God knows what else. I have a lot of other things we have to do. I need new everything. And yeah, so let's get to some other stuff here. Quite frankly, superchat.com. We're going to go to those first. Matthew Flores says, next Topo Chico is on me. Much love, Matthew. Oh, Matthew, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. The Topo Chico. To be honest, I've got 2 Topo Chicos in the refrigerator right now. I can't wait to get home, to crack it open, to get a half a lime into a nice cold copper cup. Matt from Cultivate Elevate is going to be very, very happy that I drink out of so much copper now. And then the whole damn Topo Chico goes in there. It goes down smooth with the lime. Other than that, if I just have it straight from the bottle, Topo Chico's pretty spicy. Not like pepper spice, but the carbonation gets you. The lime takes a little bit of edge off of the carbonation, and it just goes down smooth, man. Thank you, Matthew. Paul says, hey, Frank, great topic tonight. 30 years ago, I would have done something to protect my disabled little brother from his negligent tweaker nurse who was responsible for his death. Ugh, man. Yeah. That's, I can see that, no doubt. Wow, Paul. Jay Britt says 1995 is when I pulled the trigger on building my first house where I still reside. What would I do differently? Fish more and work less. And incompetent hands. Incompetent hands. You know, I don't remember much about my trip to Timcast in 2022. It was a crazy ass summer. There was a lot going on. But the one thing I'll always remember is incompetent hands. Oh, I'm sorry, man. You've got a place in my memory for all time with that super chat about baldness. That was, of course, for me, but it worked. It was multipolar, as you might know. Hey, Frank, happy belated birthday to you and Lauren. Remember when Caitlin Collins went on Colbert? She's hot if you're into brunettes and velociraptors. Yes, I do remember that. Velociraptors. She looks like a velociraptor. I don't know. I actually have you know what? I have it on my phone. Where is it? I have it ready just in case she ever says anything. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, come on. There's no way I actually got rid of it, did I? I usually have, I'm pretty sure that I have a velociraptor picture on my phone just in case I see a Caitlin Collins tweet or a story or anything like that. That was just going to be my response. How stupid of me to get rid of it. Anyway, thank you for that. Shotzi says, have a great weekend, Frank and Frankly. So thank you, Shotzi. And thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Over on, oh, damn. We hit the goal. Shit. Okay. We hit the goal on YouTube. Yes, indeed we did. So there's going to be a cigar stream tomorrow. Lisa Gray says, here's my contribution to the ante. John Volt says, Frank, clean the inside of your computer. Sounds like dust causing thermal protection and throttling clocks. Clean the fans and cooler heat sinks. I'll try. I'll pop it open and I'll get the compressed air in there, no doubt. But I don't think that is what happened to us the first time that this happened. I'll put that on the list, though. Megan, the switching it's killing me. I rarely catch a live stream. Happy to contribute. A world without Quite Frankly would just be dumb and gay. Thank you, Megan. Megan Hudson Keel. Linda Love says, crush them goals, Frank. I have a Linda Love voicemail we're going to play right now. Richard Collard says, I hate this show. So do I. 3 Dots, Over the Top, also a great film. Yes. Yes, maybe. You want to do Over the Top for Film Club? Oh, that would be deep. That would be deep. Truck driving. custody battles, arm wrestling. Kelly Silva says, Frank, that Candlebox song by Far Beyond is on my playlist of favorite songs. It's just so good. You're right. Yeah, you're right, it is. Let's go over to Rumble. Everybody's hanging out there, having a good time. And then on quitefrankly.tv, Safety Net says, happy weekend blessings, Frank and the Frankly family. One love, Lynn. Cave Toad sends an EMP. Thank you, Gary. The Marxist indoctrination is brutal. You're so right, Frank. We all need to find our tribe and stick together. Sow seeds, but don't argue. God bless. Sean Joe and Carrie Ray follow that up. I'm with you on that one, Cave Toad. It's the best advice I can give. Don't sacrifice who you are for acceptance into one group or another. You're gonna find your tribe. It's gonna happen. And pay attention to what's going to be done to you. Anything that limits your options is not good. So, I don't know. I'll make myself, I'm as available as possible. Want to help? Just don't want to see, growing up is about being uncomfortable. So that shit's going to happen. Even people you agree with, you have falling out with, and you don't see them anymore. It just happens. Sometimes there's no explanation for it. But yeah, that's on to, I got Linda Love over here. Take a listen to this. Play. Don't do this to Linda. I'm going to reload. Play Linda now.
Hi, Frank. If it was 1995, I would go camping with my mom. Around that time, I stopped doing family stuff. So basically, I'd just hang out with family more. I was more about having house parties. And also, that Easter, I would not borrow my mom's car the night before Easter to go to a party because I ended up totaling it. And it was a nightmare Easter. Love you.
Oh, of course, there's the totaled car at the end of that one. It's tough because, if I were to go back right now to 2000 and tell 15-year-old Frank, to hell with going out with your friends this weekend. I know what you're going to do. It's going to be, you're not going to get anything out of tonight. Stay home or call your family up. I don't know, pick up a phone and get everybody together. Like, I don't know. What would have been so hard for me to call up aunts and uncles and just have everybody assemble for a random night? It could have happened, but tell that to a 15-year-old, and that's part of the bittersweet of all this stuff. You don't have that perspective. You just want you're striking out. It's iron sharpening iron, steel sharpening steel. You want to go and fight for some semblance of freedom. And then what is that freedom really? That's a much bigger question we can talk about. What did we think freedom was? What did we think it was? Because I don't know. There is a certain satisfaction, that liberating satisfaction of, wow, I'm on my own. I got my own stuff. I can do my own thing. That's great. But there's also a lot of bitterness there too, of just feeling lonely and just seeing how everything is. You almost wish that you were, I don't know, 9 again. And somebody else was making decisions and you're just going along for the ride. My gosh. There's a lot to be said about freedom. Oh, I just want freedom. Do you really? What was the freedom? It was just jobs. That's really it. It's the freedom to have your own overhead. And I guess that's good. Yeah, it's character building. You need to do that. In a time before there was any electricity bills and shit like that, there was other rites of passage. To us, the biggest rites of passage these days of growing up is absorbing a massive weight of all of your bills, because everything has a subscription. Everything. Your underwear has a subscription service. It's fucking suffocating. It's suffocating. It's terrible. Anyway, let's take a call from Marie, or a voicemail from Marie.
Since 95, I've been through some really challenging times. So the very first thing I would do, for sure, is I would go to church and thank God. I would be over the moon happy, so grateful, so grateful. Yes, I would go to church and thank God that it was all a dream.
Wow. Well, that's heavy. Just to thank God it was all a dream. I'm sure some of you coming from that standpoint. Some people's paths are rockier than others. You just know, well, if I can just wake up from this one, that would be great. Wow, Marie. Well, listen, I hope that you have a good year. I hope things, but then again, in looking back, I understand. And that relief of, it's just a dream. Oh, man. How many times you get in this situation where you just, like, well, okay, wait, maybe it could be a dream. And then it's not. You know it's not a dream, but you just say that to freak yourself out. Let's see here. Chad. What do we get from Chad?
Hey, Frank, if I'm waking up and it's 1995 again, I'm marching down to my parents' bedroom and I'm saying, yo, I'm going to be homeschooled from here on out. I will go back to my room, turn on the radio, and listen to a halfway decent morning show that plays good music.
Okay, wait a second, Chad. I wish you were on the phone right now, because what would your parents say if you walked in and said, from this day forward, I'm going to be homeschooled? Maybe they were cool like that. That would not have flown with my mom. It would not have flown with her. But maybe they would. Maybe you're saying that because you know your parents. And good for you if you had that option. But you didn't take it. Let's keep going. So you went to your morning radio show, and now here's the rest of it.
I think that I spend the rest of my day trying to find a morning and afternoon paper route so that I can get around the child labor laws and start stacking that cash. I would obviously have all of the knowledge I have now, so I would invest in all of our favorite NWO projects, Mr. Gates, Mr. Bezos, Mr. Nakamoto, and absolutely just become unfathomably rich so that when it hits May 2nd, 2025, the day that you prompted this, I can send you $1 billion super chat.
Oh.
And Frank, don't think for one damn minute that I wouldn't do it.
Oh, well, Chad, $1 billion. Get him back to 1995. All right. That means $1 billion for me. Well, no, it would be $700 million because Google would take 30%. Don't give them $300 million. Okay. Whenever your 1995 financial gambit clears, Chad, that you just call me, email me. We'll figure this out. Do not send a super chat worth $1 billion. Okay. I'm sure it will attract some headlines. You know, I think about that. I don't know any of the costs of this stuff. Like if you're talking about Apple or, I don't know, Amazon. I don't know how much they were trading for at their earliest points. Obviously, everything starts real cheap. But it's 1995. I don't know what would be going on there. And if Chad's going back and he was going to base all of this on the money that he can stack through his paper route, perhaps he can make some good money in 1995 for however old he would have been then. I would have been 10. So I didn't have a paper route, but if I had, I don't know how significant my gains could have been with Microsoft and Amazon. But I'll tell you one thing. If all you had was paper route money and you just looked at the stock prices of these things in the 90s and early 2000s and you're just like, I'd like to get in, but this is still not going to be enough. All you need is $100 for Bitcoin. I mean, that's really all you need. If you can save up $1,000 for Bitcoin in like I don't know, what was it? 2007, 8, 9, 8, around there. You don't need very much. A paper route would have done you very well. And then you could have sent me, $500,000 and I would have been fine. And you would have had a small chain of islands. That's a nice trade-off. Can everybody go back and get rich and then just send me a super chat as if I am the one that gave you the opportunity to go back? Thank you for that, Chad. I believe that he would send it. This is from Brian, subvet, Gadget Doc's father. Let's see.
Well, I would tell DocuDoc not to jump out of any airplanes or to join the 82nd Airborne.
Short and to the point. For those of you who know and remember Gadget Doc, Brian Jr., who passed away a couple of years ago, his father watches the show now, and that's something we knew about Brian Jr. for a long time. He'd call in all the time for one thing or another, but I've had many talks with him about his military service and especially his time as a paratrooper. And he had a really bad accident. Really bad accident that left him with a lot of medical complications for the rest of his life and may have and probably did contribute to his his end. So I feel that, Brian. I feel that. And all the best to you and your wife. And we always think about and love on your son. So thank you for that. This one is from Valsky. Let's hear what she has to say.
I guess I'd start by taking a very long pee.
Damn, there you go. 30 years worth of pee. 30 years worth of pee coming your way. Okay, let's that's good. That's great. That's wonderful. 914-200-0269. Give me a buzz. Let me see what else you guys have for me. And in the meantime, I'll show this to you until we get some calls coming in again, because we were doing a little bit more on the voice notes, so people hung back. Here's one that should be interesting. John from Connecticut. Willie, what the hell would you do in 1995?
Hey, wow, that's pretty fast. Well, in 95, right, it's 2 years before I broke my neck and died, so I would try and remind myself not to go to that party and break my neck and die.
How did you break your neck again?
I was in a swimming pool and I got jumped on by a kid and had a hyperflex tension, dislocated fracture C5, C6, and it killed me. But they brought me back because there was a nurse at the party. I drowned or whatever. There was a nurse at the party. They pumped me out, got me going. And then I had to have iliac crest fusion. They took the top of my hip off the top of my butt and just stuck it in my head and wired me up. And I had a halo for a year, and that really slowed down my progress. I was like 31-ish or something right around then.
You said that they took a part of your ass and put it in your head?
Top of the hip bone. Iliac crest, it's called. Posterior iliac crest fusion.
Okay.
So, I used my own bone instead of going with ghost bone. I didn't want no ghosts in me.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either.
That would be one thing. I mean, because that kind of, fucked me up for a long time. But I got semi-better from that. A little bit of brain damage, but not bad.
Well, let me ask you something real quick, because I don't think I ever got this much out of you. But with your experience in the pool where your neck was broken and you were dead and they brought you back, do you have any experience from that time that you were gone?
Nah, it was just black, and then I woke up in the hospital pretty much. And I didn't have any white tunnels or any kind of near death or nothing, whatever. I mean, I was never really like pronounced dead, but I mean, I was definitely screwed up.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't even lift a can of Coke or something afterwards. I was paralyzed from the waist up for quite a while. I had to bring all my muscles back. And nerves had to regenerate and all kinds of things. That was a tough time in my life.
Yeah.
So I would like to have that, but yeah, money would be good, but health is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
People always say, we'll go back and buy Google stock or something, but I would have rather not. have broken my neck. But who knows what it would have changed anyways, right?
I'm with you. And thank you for the call, Willie.
All right, you have a good one.
Yeah, well, I hope Willie's all right. He's very subdued tonight. Then again, he's talking about a near-death experience, so that might have sobered him up. But or maybe he had a hard day at work. Exhausted. Seems a little bit more like chill. But yeah, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And that's why we're getting, I'm really happy with the variety of answers that we got, but most of what has been written down is all about, Cave Toad. Gary called in and said I would put an end to my drinking and my smoking early on. Now, the key is whether or not young you from 30 years ago is going to listen to a damn thing you have to say. But if you show up 30 years from the future and young you gets the chance to look at you and you look like you need a little help, if I came back to me looking haggard as shit, not saying that Gary looks this way. I don't even know what Gary looks like. I'm saying if I, at 10 years old, had 40-year-old Frank coming back and I'm limping and I'm haggard and I've got bad juju behind my eyes. And I said, Frank, you listen to me and you listen to me good. Don't do this. Are you listening to me? Wipe that fucking look off your face. Don't do this. And do a little bit more of that. Ignore every urge. Ignore it all. Become fine focused on this one thing or forget this other thing. I don't know. I think that might move the needle for me because it would be a paranormal slash supernatural experience. I wouldn't be able to explain it. At the very least, it would be a very scary experience with a stranger who looks oddly like how I think I would look in a few years. It's just me, but a little bit more gray. And I don't want to feel what this guy is feeling. That's what 10-year-old me hopefully would think. I don't want to feel what that guy's feeling right now. Something's up. But but most people, that's what I like. It's preserving yourself health wise, or helping somebody else, or just hugging somebody, whether it be a grandparent or a parent or uncle, a best friend, anything there. The hard thing about swearing off and trying to avoid marriages, whether they're bad or worse or whatever the hell it is, are the marriages that yielded children. Now, if you love your children and despite everything, it's you and, you guys, you're a unit, you love each other, and yeah, it was a bad marriage or it didn't work out, but you still have each other. You wouldn't want to do anything to compromise that. On the other hand, some people, the marriage has been so bad. Consider a marriage where, one person or the other had found a way to manipulate the kids into making them monsters, turning them against you. The spouses would do that. Spouses have done that. They're doing it right now, where they are turning children against the other parent and doing irreparable damage. At that point, as much as you love those kids, what would you do? Do you, if you can go back to 1995, would you avoid the whole thing? Put everybody out of their misery by blinking them out of existence? Or what? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Because sometimes just having kids doesn't move the needle. Sometimes they've been permanently damaged and turned into enemies. And it's sad, but I can see certain situations where somebody's like, I hate to say this, but I would just hit reset on everything and roll the dice again. Anyway, that's that. 8:28. Let's take another call or two. Here, we'll take one more call and then I want to do something else. And we're going to get off a little bit early tonight. We're going to take one more call. Somebody says over here, I would go to see the best bands. And I'm down with that. 609, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Frank.
Hey, who's this?
I was This is Pat from Florida.
Welcome, Pat.
Thank you. I've been listening to you for a while, and I'm from Chicago. And when I was scrolling across the dial, so to speak, I listened to your show, and I thought I was listening to WGN, and until I heard swearing, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, and this couldn't be that. But it's a really quality show, Frank.
How did you wait a second? How did you move across the dial and find me?
Well, I was on Rumble, so it just kind of, I was listening to something that was busy, and I just happened to be listening to you. It just stopped on you.
It's the new dial. When you say I'm going across the dial, I'm thinking about actually turning the knobs on a transistor radio, and boom, there I am. And that would be spooky if I showed up there. But you're right. This is the new turning the knob.
It is. What you were mentioning about kids and how the one spouse turns the kids and poisons the kids against the other parent is something that I have been going through for over 20 years. It's been over 20 years since I've seen my children. And what would I do? Well, I have thought about that. And I thought, my kids are doing very well that I know of. I see them on Facebook, and they don't talk to me. They won't respond. But I see that they're doing very well, and I'm half responsible for them. And so let them be. And leave it up to them to want to seek their dad out and do that. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't go back and say, no, I don't want them, because that's not part of God's plan.
Yep. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, and I was very specific about don't try to change the world with tonight. I just wanted to hear what people were thinking about, what was an experience that you would like to go back and have again that you just can't put a price tag on. That was the big thing there, because a lot of times when you're talking about if you can go back and do something, people get very nervous about creating time paradoxes or a butterfly effect that destroys everything. And I didn't really want to concentrate on that, because for all the reasons why you're saying right now, that good, bad, or indifferent, we're here right now. And we got, and there is a bigger plan to that, and you have to trust God. I believe that as well. Do you have grandchildren that you're not seeing as well then?
I don't have grandchildren. That much I know. I don't have any grandchildren, so there's none of that. And even if I did, there's nothing I could really do about it. And it would that's just part of just giving it to God. You just kind of have to give it to God and trust in God that that's part of his plan. I'm sure at some point when I go to heaven, I'm sure I will see them and that all will be well. But for now, not so much. And maybe it gets better. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't.
But it's nothing that you personally would ever make an attempt to reconnect again. It's all in their court now. You believe?
It's all in their court. I've tried to connect, and I'm not going to chase them. And I don't think that that's healthy. So no, I'm not going to do anything. I think it should be up to them to think, hey, I wonder what my dad, my real bio dad, is up to.
Well, your faith is admirable, and thank you for calling in. From that perspective, it's good to have you get through tonight.
I think you've got a great show. Tremendous, and I enjoy it every night. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I hope you call in more often. You got a good voice, and I can imagine you'd be able to contribute nicely to a number of topics.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I will.
Okay, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
There you go. Okay. Yes. See, that's a very real situation for a lot of people. I know just from dealing with this audience over the years too, over the last 5 years, there's a lot of parents who've been estranged from children just because of COVID policies. COVID policies. And now we're far enough removed to know that so many of them were absolute horse shit. Born from horse shit. And still, what's left behind is the pride that makes it harder for people to reconnect because, accountability and responsibility needs to be taken. And that would be a step too far because that would mean that you're giving some sort of a tip of the cap or genuflection before a political enemy when they're not a political enemy. They're a fucking parent. They're a friend. They're a cousin. They're an aunt. They're an uncle. But man, think people are so easily cast aside. And I told that to my cousin, my nephew, my niece today too. I said, let me put this in perspective for you. These girls that you don't even know, that you have been clumped together, and I think that's pretty cool that some schools help incoming students connect with other incoming students so they actually already have a little bit of a base as they're showing up to a new place. But I said, these girls that you're having a falling out with right now, after knowing them digitally just for a couple of weeks, they would throw their parents away like they are a flushable wipe, like they are a used diaper. They would throw their family under the bus if there was any kind of derailment on socio-political opinions. This is what Marxism is. It tears you apart at faith centers. It tears you apart in the household. It tears you apart along lines of race and gender. They want you complete. And I said, you just watch out for it. Start noticing it. Start noticing how people try to get you to get behind one line or another or put one patch on your arm or another. And don't take it personal. You're going to find good people. We have seen lifelong friendships and bonds broken in an instant because of any number of the things that we've lived through over the last 10 years alone. And that's just where it is. So let me get back to the super chats to make sure that we're all out of there. And then I'm going to do one last thing, a funny little thing for you. And then we're off a little bit early tonight. And I also, Brad Calogero got in touch with me. And he said that he was going to be hosting the Liberty Den tonight on Badlands. It starts around 10:30 p.m. He asked me if I wanted to stop by. I said I might actually stop by for about a half hour or so. Everybody's usually in bed by then. No reason why I can't stop by. So I don't know. Keep an eye out for that. Maybe I show up for a half hour. But let's go to Super Chats over on YouTube. Brother Zoe says Caitlin Collins can try till the cows come home, but she'll never be sexy. No. Nope. No. That used to be one of the best things for me when I was, even just like 20 years ago. Around there, you just very hard. I would love to, I just loved to find things. If I met a woman, either in school or anything else like that, I know it's horrible, but the first thing I would do is find anything that I can, any molehill that I can turn into a mountain, perhaps a mole, perhaps an actual mole. I don't like the placement of that mole. Completely unfair to her. And obviously, there's plenty of subject matter I can make about myself. And if I were a woman, I would have done the same thing. To be able to keep myself in a platonic zone. If we have a school, some kind of a project that we have to work on or anything like that, or even Caitlin Collins. I would be so relieved if I was in a work group with Caitlin Collins because she's not unattractive. But, yeah. Looks like a velociraptor. I can't. There's nothing there for me. I'm fine with that. So, that's just the way it is. Thank you so much for that, Brother Zoe. Kelly Silva says, Frank, that Candlebox. Oh, it's a Candlebox song. Far Behind. I'm glad that we're on the same page as that. A high-size brain on Rumble says, Frank, you are a good uncle. Well, I try to help wherever I can. I don't stick my snout in anything, so people just got to ask. Redemption Frog says, please wish my fiance Kayla a happy birthday. Fiance? Birthday? Kayla, you've got it all. Kayla's got it all over there. Have a good time over there, Frog and Kayla. Kayla's prince is a frog. Happy birthday. When's the wedding? Let me know. Let me know in an email or sometime. Thank you so much. Okay, and that's all I have over there. Hold on. The computer's convulsing again. Crown Reaver says, I'd go back and tell my girls no matter what they say or do, I'll always love and forgive them. Thank you so much for that, Crown Weaver. And thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Porpoiseful, Kelly Ray. Thank you, everybody on Pilled right now. I'm going to release the scratch-in a little bit early so that I do not forget and you don't get shortchanged. So let's do that right now. The scratch-in has been released. All right, so here is my little thing for you. Over the weekend, Anthony got in touch with me, and he said, hey, I found a prompt for ChatGPT where you can send in a picture of your pet. It could be a cat, a bird, a dog, or whatever. And this certain set of prompts will convert your pet into a human being. You know, it keeps, and I forget what all the prompts were. Anthony sent it to me, and there is really interesting how it directed the AI image machines to actually create human versions of your dog. Okay, and I have this. The first one I got for you. This is incredible. Now, Pyretta, I don't know. Anthony did a couple for Pyretta. Here's the first one. All right, there's Pyretta on the green couch in the music room, just having a good time like a little queen. She's really fantastic. She's the greatest cat I've ever been around. She's happy. She's loving. She'll never hiss at you, never grab you, nothing. She wants you to pet her. She wants you to pick her up. She's just beautiful. And she's an older girl, and she's not in the best of health, but she's hanging in there, and she's just been a real blessing. Anyway, she has a very interesting voice that we give her. So the first one that Anthony did, he prompted was just a little bit more, just a straight, didn't make any attempts to kind of compensate for her age. She's about 13 or 14 years old. Here's the first one he just got of her. Look at that. I don't know if that captures Pyretta as well. Look, kind of. I think in her eyes, she's very gentle, very loving. She's got those hazel eyes. And she's got this girl's got kind eyes. I can see that being a young Pyretta. I really can. And then Anthony accounted for the fact that she's about, in like cat years, she's closer to 80. Okay. That she's closer to 80 years old. And that's when that's when ChatGPT gave us this. And you know what? I can see this too. She just looks so pleasant. What a nice girl. It actually captures Pyretta, if you ask me. If this is Pyretta in cat years, translated to human, just look at the kindness in those eyes. Yes, I can see that being her. I can see that being her. Now listen, this next one is insane. Then I gave Anthony 2 pictures of Lila. Now the first one, this one right here, this one, that's Lila laying on my chest in the summer or fall of 2019. 2019. The year before Aurora was born. Okay? So Lauren comes into the bedroom. I just plopped on the bed, and Lila had come over and just put her paws on top of me, and she's just sitting there purring and looking at me. She's a really good looking cat. She really is. I wish she had a little bit more of a Pyretta temperament, but that's just her personality. She's feisty, and she's very intense sometimes. But Anthony went and he made a version of this one that I think is really on. Now, take a look at that face. And now take a look at this one. I think it's on point. Now, Lauren always said, I always feel like she had a little bit like of an Asian or I don't know what the hell Lauren always said about Lila, but I think that there is a certain kind of subtle crazy in these eyes where she's calm, she's happy, she's fine where she is, but at any time, she can scratch your face. At any time, at any moment. I feel like this is a good one. There's a certain level of, I don't know. I think that this works. I don't know if Lauren was on the same page as me with this one, but I think it works. Look at her. It's just, I don't know, it's strange. But then there's this one. See, Lila's she's getting rid of her winter coat still. And this was just 2 weeks ago. I said, Anthony, here, try this. I'm going to send you another picture. So there's Lila 2 weeks ago. She's a little fluffier right there. And then he sent me this, which I think is also pretty interesting, given the fact that she's 5 years older. And look, she has this Kathy Bates from Misery kind of look to her. I think that the first Lila is better, but this is hilarious that she looks like Kathy Bates here, where she's a little bit more subdued. But just because she looks like Kathy Bates from Misery, I feel like she still has that certain level of, that certain something. And let me tell you something. I see something. 3 dots just said the AI just called Lila fat. Maybe. But when I tell you, and those of you who have cats at home, when I tell you that face is 95% fluff, if we dropped this cat into a bucket of water, I promise you she will come out looking like a praying mantis. I promise you, she's a bug. There's no meat on those bones. All right? That is a praying mantis with a Party City cat costume on. So, I'm putting it all out there. That's what I got for you tonight. Okay, so it's 8:46. Lauren just texted me. She said she's only about 8 pounds, and she's been 8 pounds her entire life. So let me just tell you, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I don't know where I'll be tonight if I show up at Liberty Den, but I will see you guys tomorrow at some point in the afternoon for a cigar stream. So keep your YouTube notifications on. Thank you all so much for the support, no matter where you super chatted. For those of you who are watching after the fact tonight, please like the show, share the show, leave some comments on anything, especially the main topic of the night. And take that main topic of the night into the weekend with you. And anytime you feel a little bit bored or a little bit frustrated or something else, just pretend you have just arrived from 30 years in the future. If you're 50, pretend you just arrived from 80. If you're 80, pretend you just arrived from beyond the grave. And you have days. You have time again. Whatever it is, imagine you're 30 years ahead and you've come back to this moment and soak it up. Even if that means, going out and pruning a rose bush and just taking a little bit extra time and being a little bit less distracted. So that's what I'm hoping for you guys. And thank you all so much for the company this weekend. I look forward to another week with you next week. And yes, and like I said before, you become a sponsor over the weekend. We got plenty of these albums that I'm giving out, and I'd love to welcome you aboard, including the fact that if you become a sponsor right now or tomorrow, your first Sunday stream with us will be this Sunday. And then you will start to really realize what kind of an amazing array of extra content that you get, and where this is all going in the future. Always changing, aren't we? Okay. Good night, everybody. Have a great one. And thank you so much for everything else.
I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, folks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Will you shut up?
Oh man, ST just left me a super chat. I can't get off just yet. You're a great uncle as well as a great host to us, Frankly's Frank. Thank you for all that you do. God bless always. ST, you've been good to me over the years as well, like so many of you, and I will see you again soon. Good night.